We're here with Bobby Redican, legend from Connecticut, individual drumming champion, teacher of incredible students, man who's just contributed a wealth of things to this whole drumming world over many, many years.
To get back to where I started under J. Burns Moore in the local public school system.
J. Burns Moore?
Yeah,
wow.
J. Burns Moore.
So he was your first teacher?
First instructor.
Wow. And that's the person who started teaching you. Now, did you work on reading right away?
No.
No.
Everything was rudimental.
Okay.
Individual rudiments.
Okay.
And that was when, in 1937. So I was about 15 going on 16 when I met Earl Sturtz.
Okay.
And started to take lessons from him.
Okay. Well, how long were you participating where Earl Sturtz was actually teaching you?
42, I was still with Earl Sturtz because he played in the same drum line with me.
Oh, wow.
We were very fortunate to have him. You know, it's just an unusual thing to have Earl Sturtz in the drum line.
Now, the thing about Earl was his methodology in teaching technique. I mean, I know what Frank taught us was Earl's method. What I later put into a book form I called Precision Drumming was essentially that technique. You know, the system of the full arm stroke, the half stroke, learning how to play the open roll, the tap position, which we identified as being probably 6 to 8 inches, might have been a little higher for you guys.
This system is a foundation for all drumming, as it explains the 3 types of muscular controls used and how they are combined to form the rudiments or patterns that we play.
The system that I use is based on the development of the arms, hands, or wrist, and the finger controls. All right, notice that my arm is on swivel from up here at the shoulder, and I'm popping my elbow out. I'm holding the stick securely. I'm not letting go with the fingers on this stroke. All right, when you play them together, notice the volume level. That's important. That's called the stroke or the accent position.
Next is the tap position, which involves only a wrist motion.
Now, this position starts from about 6 to 8 inches off the drum. Now, that's what we call tap position. This is strictly a wrist motion. Notice the volume level, how it differs from the stroke. The muscular control.
After we learn the stroke and the tap motions, we can apply them to a simple pattern such as the triplet.
You'll see a stroke followed by a tap, getting ready for the next stroke that it's going to play. Another tap, stroke, tap, tap, stroke, tap, tap, stroke.
The grace note is a very soft beat, and when attached closely to a stroke, they make the rudiment we call a flam. Be careful not to lift the grace notes, but merely drop them from their stationary position of 1 to 2 inches above the drum.
But notice that the grace note, when I'm playing flam, as I stated before, is always down here.
That system I attribute to Sturtz. Now, was there somebody else teaching a system like that?
Well, they all tried to duplicate it
Okay.
because they knew it was pretty correct.
Okay.
And Sturtz was a guy that studied each and every rudiment almost completely and thoroughly and tried to analyze it so that it would be played with the ultimate of perfection.
So if you would study with him and learn his technique, and somebody else would study with him and learn his technique, the drummers would come out the same.
Well,
they would play
pretty close to it.
Exactly alike.
Yeah, pretty close to it.
So when you're in a competitive organization where uniformity is champion,
Right.
it's a perfect way.
Right.
Because you turn out these little machines.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He always said the 2 finest drummers he ever saw were Earl Sturtz and Frankie Arsenal.
Wow. Yeah, well, as a student of Frank, Frank used to say, there's only one guy in the world, and that's Earl Sturts. You think I play well, Earl Sturts is the best.
Frank and Sonny were from the same neighborhood.
You have to watch that here in Connecticut because there was another drum teacher about the same time, a little older. His name was John Burns Moore, and he was always known as Burns Moore.
And there was always a little thing between Sturts and Burnsmore.
Yeah.
People would say that Sturts was taught by Burnsmore. Burnsmore never said no,
Oh, yeah.
but he wasn't. But it turns out he was taught by a Burnsmore student.
Really? No kidding.
A man by the name of Carl Froelich, but he was a pit drummer. In those
know that
days,
name.
all the pit drummers were drum corps drummers also.